The sword that killed me cost $29 and wore a red discount sticker. When I opened my eyes, the same chipped blade was floating above my head while 3,000 students waited for a god to choose me. That was how my second life began. I stood in the central arena of the Heavenly Academy. White towers surrounded 3,000 candidates while divine lions, dragons, suns, and one angry golden ox floated above the chosen students. The ox breathed fire through its nose. Its student looked proud enough to marry it. Above me floated a piece of black iron with half a handle. It looked less like a divine symbol and more like evidence from a bad kitchen accident. The crowd had not laughed yet. They were saving their breath because Pell, the ceremony master, had just climbed onto the platform with a sealed notice. He was a narrow man with a narrow mouth. Even his smile looked as if it had been charged rent. "Jace," he said, "step away from the silver circle." I looked down. My boots were inside the circle reserved for scholarship students. "The ceremony has already started," I said. "Your scholarship ended 1 minute ago." The crystal screens around the arena showed my name. A red line cut through it. Under the line appeared a new name, Cord. The students in the noble section began whispering. The whispers crossed the arena faster than rats running from a kitchen. Cord rose from the first row. He was broad, handsome, and dressed in enough gold to make a treasure chest feel poor. A red lion, the symbol of a C-rank combat god, burned above his shoulder. "There must be a mistake," I said. "There was," Pell replied. "We gave a valuable academy seat to a boy with no family, no patron, and no donation record." The screens showed that Cord's family had promised 500 gold. My scholarship cost 40. "The academy needs walls and teachers," Pell said. "Dreams do not pay for stone." His motive was ugly but practical. He had decided that sacrificing one poor student was cheaper than angering one rich family, and he did it before 3,000 witnesses. Cord walked onto the field and stopped beside me. "Do not take it personally," he said loudly. "A cup should not hate a barrel for holding more wine." The noble students laughed. I looked at the red lion over his shoulder. "A barrel is useful," I said. "You are wearing curtains." The laughter moved to the common seats. Cord's face tightened. Pell struck the platform with his staff. "Enough. Jace, your rank is now provisional. If no recognized god claims you, you will leave the academy before sunset. Your dormitory key and meal token will be transferred to Cord." The red line on the screen moved through my name a second time. My old life had ended because a wall hook broke in a discount store. My new life was trying to end because a rich boy needed a second room. I did not shout. Shouting would not restore my key. I watched Pell's hands, Cord's distance, and the exits from the arena. Then every bell rang. Golden light poured from the statues. A winged spear, a silver moon, and the burning ox chose wealthy heirs. A and B ranks filled the screens while families threw flowers. Nothing came to me. Pell checked the sand in a glass timer. Less than 1 minute remained. Cord leaned close. "The street gate is on the south side," he said. "Try not to steal the hinges on your way out." At that moment, the clouds above the arena split. No golden light appeared. No choir sang. A black object fell from the opening, hit the platform, bounced twice, and landed at my feet. It was the broken sword from my death. The red discount sticker was gone. The same chip remained near the point. The arena became silent. Then the crystal screens flickered. They searched the heavenly archive for the owner of the symbol. Unknown swordsman. No temple. No recorded victories. Estimated rank, F. 3,000 people laughed at once. One student asked if my god had lost the other half on the way down. Even several teachers covered their mouths. Cord stared at the sword, then at me. "I apologize," he said. "The street may be too dangerous for you. That weapon could lose a fight with a spoon." Pell did not laugh. His eyes became bright with relief. A divine choice meant he could not expel me immediately, but an F-rank patron gave him legal grounds to place me at the bottom of the academy. "The choice is recognized," he announced. Jace receives the Class Heir of the Exiled Sword. Due to the patron's rank, he loses all scholarship privileges and enters the reserve list at position 1000. My dormitory key vanished from my belt. My meal token turned gray. The screen placed my name at the bottom of the ranking board. Cord's name appeared at position 180. The broken sword rose from the ground. It touched my palm and dissolved into a thin black mark. A voice spoke inside my head. It did not sound grand. It sounded tired. "One cut," it said. That was all. The system translated the gift in a calm voice. My only divine technique was called one cut. Its range was 1 meter. Its speed was 10 meters in 1 second. Its striking force was equal to 100 kilograms. The crowd saw only the name. One cut. F rank. They laughed again. Then the system added a sentence that appeared only inside my mind. After every true victory, witnessed and accepted, all 3 measures would double forever. I looked at the ranking board. 1 victory would give me 2 meters, 20 meters in 1 second, and 200 kilograms. 2 victories would double those numbers again. The basic law of this world said a divine skill never changed. A weak blessing remained weak. A strong blessing made a family rich for generations. My broken sword had just broken that law. I understood why the voice had sounded tired. It had been waiting a long time. Pell pointed toward the south gate. Reserve students may remain until sunset. After that, anyone without 10 silver coins for the entrance fee must leave Academy grounds. I had 4 silver coins and 9 copper coins in my pocket. Cord smiled. "I can lend you a broom." "Keep it," I said. "Your lion may need a comb." The common seats laughed again. Cord's burning lion snapped its jaws at me. A teacher pulled him back before the insult became a duel. I left the arena with no room, no food, and less than 6 hours to earn 6 silver coins. That was when Nia followed me from the rune students, dark hair tied with a blue cord and a case of measuring tools on her shoulder. "Your symbol bent the selection circle," she said. "Hello to you too." Divine light does not bend iron. Mine fell from the sky and bounced. That is also unusual. She walked beside me toward the old practice yard. She did not call me secretly amazing. She believed the evidence before the crowd. "I saw your hand when the skill entered," she said. "Your pulse jumped exactly 3 times. Range, speed, force. You received 3 values, not 1. I stopped. "Can you measure them?" She tapped the wooden case. "That is why I followed you." Behind the laundry hall, an iron hound slept inside a leaning practice fence. It looked like a metal refrigerator with teeth and anger problems. Defeating it under supervision paid 8 silver coins and counted as a true match. "Your body is ordinary," Nia warned. 100 kilograms of recoil may injure you. "How much does treatment cost?" 3 silver for a minor sprain. 10 for a fracture. "Then I prefer the sprain." She stared at me. That was not one of the choices. We activated the yard crystal. The hound's eyes turned red. It charged from 12 meters away. I had no sword. The black mark required only a chosen line and a swing. I waited until the hound entered 1 meter. I cut with 2 fingers. The air made a flat sound. The hound's front leg separated at the joint. Its momentum carried the rest of it into me. I turned, but a metal shoulder struck my ribs and threw me into the fence. The fence lost its argument with gravity. I landed under 3 wooden boards. Nia ran toward me. The hound dragged itself around on 3 legs. Its jaws opened near her ankle. I saw the line between us. 1 meter was enough. I swung from the ground. The second cut split the copper control plate on its neck. The red eyes went dark. The yard crystal declared my witnessed victory and released 8 silver coins. The system voice returned. My range became 2 meters. My speed became 20 meters in 1 second. My striking force became 200 kilograms. The numbers had doubled. The measurement crystal showed 200 kilograms. Nia tested the range and speed. The thread snapped at 2 meters, and the needle jumped to 20. "Divine techniques cannot grow," she whispered. "This one cannot read Academy rules." Then she sat on the fallen fence. If every victory doubles it, after 5 victories, your force will be 3,200 kilograms. After 5 victories, my arm will leave my shoulder and apply to another academy. That made her laugh. It was a small sound, but it changed the yard. We had gained 8 silver coins. My total became 12 silver and 9 copper. The entrance fee would leave me 2 silver and 9 copper. I could stay inside the academy, but I could not buy dinner and treatment. Nia examined my wrist. It had already begun to swell. You need a brace. How much? A proper one costs 15 silver. Then I need a less proper wrist. She opened her tool case and wrapped my hand with rune cloth. This is a loan, she said. Do not become dramatic. I was killed by discounted wall decoration. My standards for drama are high. At the central gate, students crowded around my posted result. My name had moved from position 1,000 to 912. A boy who had laughed earlier stepped out of my path. It was not respect yet, but confusion was the first crack in contempt. Pell waited at the gate with 2 guards. Cord stood beside him in clean training armor. His red lion circled his shoulders like a scarf made of fire. 8 silver coins, Pell said. Convenient. You still owe 10. I placed 10 silver on the desk. His mouth became narrower. The hound result is under review. The payment crystal accepted it. A damaged machine is not a proper opponent. More students gathered. They wanted to see whether the last-ranked boy would be thrown out after earning his fee. The crystal screens near the gate turned toward us. Naya stepped beside me and displayed her witness seal. The machine passed its morning check, she said. Its damage occurred during the match. The result is legal. Pell could reject me, but only by accusing a licensed rune student of fraud in front of the crowd. Cord solved his problem. Let me test him, he said. He raised his voice so the whole gate plaza heard. One formal exchange. If Jace touches my shield, I will pay his entrance fee and give him 20 silver coins. If he fails, he leaves and admits his hound result was luck. Students climbed onto benches. Windows opened above the plaza. Public humiliation was cheaper than theater and usually had more bruises. Pell tried to hide his relief. A generous offer, Nia whispered. His shield charm is rated for 150 kilograms. Your force is 200, but the lion can push your blade away once. Cord heard her. Once is all I need. That was true if my strike behaved like an ordinary divine technique. One cut did not create a blade that traveled from my hand. The line appeared complete at the moment I moved. Speed measured how quickly the force filled that line. That was the first hidden consequence of greater range. Cord assumed he had to stop something approaching him. I only had to place the end of the cut behind his defense. We stood 4 meters apart. Pell marked a circle in the stone. The formal exchange would begin at his signal. Cord lifted a round golden shield. Fire covered its surface. The red lion opened its mouth behind him. Try not to break your fingers, he said. Healing costs money. Thank you, I replied. That is why I am taking yours. The crowd made a low sound. Pell dropped his hand. Cord's lion roared. A wave of pressure struck the space in front of me. It would have thrown aside any visible weapon. I did not aim at the shield. I aimed at the blue ribbon tied to Cord's right shoulder, exactly 2 meters away. I moved one finger. The ribbon split. The metal academy badge beneath it split next. The cut stopped against the leather of his armor without touching skin. Cord's shield was still raised. His lion was still roaring. His severed badge fell onto the stone between his boots. The plaza became silent enough to hear the badge bounce twice. Then common students erupted, shouting my name and slapping the window frames. Cord looked down. His face moved through disbelief, fear, and anger so quickly that it seemed to be testing expressions. The shield was untouched, Pell said. Nia pointed at the terms glowing above the circle. He promised payment if Jace touched his shield. The badge was attached to the shield strap when the match began. The witness crystal recorded contact through the strap. The crystal rang. Victory belonged to me. The system voice spoke beneath the noise. My range became 4 meters, my speed 40 meters in 1 second. and my force 400 kilograms. Cord's lion lowered its head as if it had learned that curtains could be cut. Cord could refuse before 3,000 witnesses or preserve his reputation. Pride lost. He placed 30 silver coins on the desk. "This proves nothing," he said. "It proves you can count to 30, I replied. The laughter followed him across the plaza. Pell restored my entrance status because the crowd was watching and returned a reserve room with one bed, one chair, and a window facing a wall. It was still a room. The ranking board moved me 300 places, from 912 to 612. By sunset, the official notice said an F-rank student had defeated a C-rank blessing. The unofficial version said I had cut Cord's pride in half. I paid Nia 3 silver for the rune cloth. She refused twice, then accepted 1 silver and made me promise to buy real food. That left me with 31 silver and 9 copper after the entrance fee. We went to Toma's small dining room. The round, gray-haired owner served beef noodles with garlic, black pepper, green onions, and hot bread covered in melting butter. The first spoonful warmed my chest. After an arena full of golden gods, that bowl felt more divine than all of them. Nia ate roasted potatoes with cheese while explaining that the cloth would fail at 400 kilograms. A string of cheese reached halfway across the table before she noticed. Toma brought honey cakes without charging us. "For position 612, he said. "If you reach the first 100, you pay double." That seems backward. Successful students complain less. For 1 hour, I had hot food, a key, 31 silver coins, and 1 person who knew the truth. Then the black mark on my palm burned. The bowl cracked beneath my hand. The tired voice of my God spoke again. They found me. Every bell in the academy rang backward. Above the ranking board, a line of white fire appeared across the night sky. It formed a heavenly execution seal large enough to cover the city. The system counted the time until activation. 4 days remained. The next morning, half the academy called the burning line a rare cloud. 1 boy sold paper protection charms until one caught fire in his hand. Only Nia and I could see the countdown inside the seal. 3 days, 23 hours, and 40 minutes remained. I woke in my reserve room with my swollen wrist inside a basin of cold water. The room was small enough for me to open the door while sitting on the bed. That saved time. My strength had reached 4 meters, 40 meters in 1 second, and 400 kilograms. My money was 31 silver and 9 copper. My rank was 612. Those were useful facts. The less useful fact was that my wrist had turned purple. Nia knocked once and entered with a strip of boiled leather, 2 copper plates, and breakfast wrapped in cloth. The bread was still warm. Inside it were fried eggs, peppered sausage, and soft yellow cheese. Fat from the sausage had soaked into the bread. I ate while she built a temporary brace around my arm. "You are chewing too quickly," she said. "The world ends in less than 4 days." "Then taste the cheese before it does." I slowed down. She was right. The cheese was excellent. The black mark on my palm remained silent. Arden had spoken only 4 words since choosing me. He did not answer questions about the seal, the heavens, or why the weapon that killed me had carried his shape. Nia touched a copper needle to the mark. The needle melted. "That was worth 6 copper, she said. "Send the bill to heaven." "Heaven appears to be sending one first." Someone hammered on the outside door. An academy guard waited in the hall with a summons from Pell. By the time we reached the central ranking board, nearly 500 students had gathered. My fight with Cord replayed on a crystal above them. The slow image showed my finger moving and his badge falling while the golden shield remained untouched. Each replay produced the same gasp. My name had become the most searched name on the academy board overnight. It had been requested 11,000 times. Cord stood near the front with a new badge and no ribbon. When he saw me, he folded his arms. He did not laugh. That was progress too. Pell climbed onto the board platform. His eyes had dark circles. He had spent the night reading messages from noble families who wanted to know how an F-rank skill had crossed a C-rank shield. Yesterday's exchange created unreasonable rumors, he announced. The Academy will provide a proper public measure of Jace's ability. The board displayed a practical trial in the northern arena. Target, 1 copper boar of F rank. Reward, 12 gold coins. Successful rank, position 301. The crowd reacted to the reward first. 12 gold equaled 1,200 silver. It was more than many common students spent in a year. It was also far too much for an F-rank boar. Why 12 gold? I asked. Pell smiled. Because the Academy values truth. Nia leaned close. He values something. I do not think it is truth. The trial terms required me to enter alone. Refusal would remove my provisional status. Victory would guarantee housing, restore my meal token, and pay the listed reward. The terms were harsh but legal. Pell had found a way to gamble Academy money against my life. I placed my palm on the contract crystal. Accepted. The crowd made the sound people made when someone else agreed to be hit by a large animal. Pell's shoulders relaxed. That told me more than his smile. The northern arena was a stone pit with an iron gate at each end. Crystal lenses floated over the walls. The match would be shown in every classroom, dining hall, and training yard. More than 3,000 Academy viewers connected before I reached the center. Nia took her place beside the inspection table. Pell tried to block her. Only Academy staff may inspect the target. The contract allows 1 licensed rune witness, she replied. The target is already sealed. Then opening the seal will not change it. Students in the seats began shouting for him to open the gate. Pell could refuse her only by admitting he did not want a witness. He waved her through. Nia examined the copper tag on the gate. Her fingers paused for half a second. The tag is genuine, she said loudly. Pell smiled again. Then she looked at me and touched 2 fingers to her left shoulder. It was the signal we had chosen for hidden danger. The arena bell rang. The gate rose. Something stepped out that had never been a copper boar. It was 3 meters tall at the shoulder. Black stone plates covered its back. 2 tusks curved forward like white spears. Iron chains hung from its neck, each link as thick as my thumb. The viewing crystals identified it after 1 breath. Stoneback war boar, B rank. Recommended team size, 12 first-year fighters. The northern arena became silent. Then every crystal connected to the match filled with messages. Students demanded that Pell stop the trial. Teachers ran toward the control room. Cord stood in the front row and shouted that the gate had released the wrong beast. Pell struck the emergency seal. Nothing happened. The boar's chains had damaged the closing mechanism from inside. That was the official explanation. The boar charged before anyone finished believing it. Its speed was 20 meters in 1 second. The arena was 40 meters wide. I had 2 seconds before it turned me into a red mark on the wall. My current force was 400 kilograms. The plates on its skull resisted 1,200. Its tusks resisted 800. Its knees were protected by overlapping stone. Pell had studied my first measurement. He had chosen an animal that could survive my number. He had not studied the skill itself. I ran sideways. The boar missed me by less than 1 arm. Wind from its body spun me around. 1 tusk caught my coat and carried the cloth away. The crowd screamed through the viewing crystals. Their voices arrived as 1 distant roar. The boar hit the wall. Stone broke. It turned without slowing. I measured 4 meters from my hand to its front ankle. I cut. The air struck the stone guard and left a white line. The plate cracked but did not open. Recoil drove through Nia's brace. Pain reached my shoulder. The boar charged again. I moved behind one of the iron posts supporting the camera bridge. The beast lowered its head. It would hit the post, but the post would not stop it. I looked up. A chain held a counterweight above the gate. The chain was 3 meters away and only 2 fingers thick. 1 cut crossed the distance without a visible blade. I swung upward. The chain broke. The counterweight fell. The iron gate dropped behind me just as the boar passed under it. The edge struck its back and shattered 2 stone plates. The beast did not fall. It carried the gate for 5 meters, bent the iron bars, and threw the whole structure aside. The viewers stopped shouting. For one terrible second, everyone simply watched. The boar turned toward me with blood running between its plates. It had become slower. It had also become much angrier. It opened its mouth and roared. There was no armor inside its mouth. The distance from my hand to the soft roof behind its teeth was 3 meters and a little more. I chose a line that entered the mouth and ended before the spine. If I went too deep, the cut could strike the audience beyond the beast. That was the price of range. Every extra meter created another place where a mistake could live. The boar began its third charge. I waited until it opened its mouth again. Then I cut. 400 kilograms of force crossed the empty space. No blade shone. No fire appeared. A straight red line opened inside the boar's mouth. Its roar stopped. It ran 6 more steps, fell onto its chest, and slid toward me like a house pushed across ice. I jumped aside. One tusk stopped against my boot. The arena crystal examined the beast. The war boar was dead. The crystal rang once. More than 3,000 witnesses heard it. The system voice spoke beneath the rising noise. My range became 8 meters. My speed became 80 meters in 1 second. My striking force became 800 kilograms. The black mark spread across the center of my palm. The audience exploded. Students stood on benches. The common dormitory threw blankets from its windows, and noble parents sent offers before the boar stopped moving. Cord stared at the broken gate. Then he looked at his new shield badge and quietly removed it. Pell did not move. His face had the color of old flour. The payment tray beside the inspection table opened. 12 gold coins fell into it one by one. Each clear sound crossed the silent officials section. 1 gold. 2. 3. By the 12th coin, the entire arena was counting with the tray. Nia collected the coins and held them where the viewing crystal could see. "The contract is complete," she announced. My strength had doubled. My resources had risen from 31 silver to more than 12 gold. My position moved from 612 to 301 before I left the pit. Pell had tried to bury me under a B-rank beast. Instead, he had purchased the best advertisement I could not afford. He recovered quickly. Fear made him practical. "An animal transfer error occurred," he announced. "The Academy will investigate. Today's result does not imply wrongdoing." Boos rolled across the seats. Pell raised his staff and ordered the viewing crystals turned off. They remained active. Nia stood beside the broken gate with the copper tag in her hand. "The tag is genuine," she repeated, "but the collar behind it is not." She pulled a hidden plate from beneath the boar's chain. The plate carried Pell's personal rune. The crowd saw it on every crystal. Pell stepped toward her. "That plate is Academy property. Then the Academy can explain why it ordered a B-rank war beast moved into an F-rank trial during the night." He reached for the plate. I stood 8 meters away. Between us hung a thin cord connected to the inspection bell. Pell had used it to seal the false tag. A small lead stamp on the cord carried the time and his authorization mark. He had begun pulling the cord into his sleeve. I could not see the stamp behind his body. I had seen the cord's angle. One cut did not need to see every point on its line. It needed me to know where the line ended. That was the second consequence of its growing range. I swung 2 fingers beside my leg. The invisible cut crossed 7 meters, passed through empty air behind Pell, and severed the cord inside his sleeve. The lead stamp fell from his cuff onto the inspection table. The viewing crystal enlarged it. Pell's authorization mark filled every screen in the Academy. No one laughed at first. The silence was worse. Then Cord began clapping. He did it slowly. He had lost to me 1 day earlier, but Pell had also used him as part of the plan to remove me. Cord understood that a rich barrel could still be rolled where an official wanted it. The common students joined him, then the rune students. Within seconds, the whole arena applauded while Pell stood beside proof of his own crime. His public defeat did not require me to cut him. It only required him to fail in front of everyone he wanted to control. Dean Marden arrived before the applause ended. He was a tall man in a plain white coat. He did not waste time denying what the crystals showed. "Pell is suspended from all Academy duties," he said. "The city guard will receive the evidence." The crowd cheered. Marden waited until they stopped. Jace will receive the promised reward, restored scholarship privileges, and a place in tomorrow's blessing tournament. That produced a louder cheer. He looked directly at me. His expression held no hatred. It held calculation. The Academy protects its students, he said. What he meant was that the Academy would sacrifice Pell to keep the scandal from climbing higher. I understood because he glanced once at the white execution seal above the open roof. He could see it. He knew what it was. That made him more dangerous than Pell. After the hearing, the ranking board confirmed my new position, 301. My dormitory status changed from reserve to full student. My gray meal token turned blue and carried a daily value of 15 silver. Students surrounded Nia and me outside the arena. Some wanted measurements. Some wanted duels. One offered 2 gold coins for the name of my temple. It does not have a name, I said. Where is it? Currently on my hand. He decided I was joking and wrote down something anyway. Cord approached after the crowd thinned. Pell told my father you had threatened the ceremony, he said. He said taking your seat protected the Academy. Did you believe him? I wanted to. That was the first honest thing he had said to me. He looked at my damaged brace. Marden chose your opponent for tomorrow, a student named for the champion list, blessed by an A-rank guardian. The barrier has never been cut. Why are you warning me? Cord touched the place where I had severed his badge. Because I prefer losing to a person, not to a dead man. Then he left. Naya took me to the rune market below the eastern tower. We spent 7 gold coins on a real combat brace. It used 3 layers of black leather, silver joints, and a blue shock stone the size of a grape. The seller promised it could absorb 800 kilograms once, or 400 kilograms 6 times. What happens after once? I asked. It becomes an expensive bracelet, he said. I paid 2 more gold for medicine, spare rune cloth, and a map of the tournament arena. 3 gold, 31 silver, and 9 copper remained. My fortune had become smaller, but my resources had become useful. Money in a pocket was a number. A brace around my wrist was survival. That evening, Thomas served us chicken roasted with lemon and salt. The skin cracked under the knife. Clear juice ran into a bed of rice cooked with butter and herbs. There were carrots sweet from the oven, onions brown at the edges, and a small pot of thick gravy. Nia placed the new brace beside my plate. Do not get sauce on the shock stone. Will it explode? No. I will become angry. That seems more expensive. Toma gave us baked apples filled with honey and nuts. For a short time, the execution seal above the roof was only pale light beyond a warm window. Nia asked why I had waited for the boar to come so close. The cut could have reached 4 meters, she said. The people behind it were 12 meters away. I did not know how much force would remain after the target. She became quiet. You were thinking about the audience. I was thinking about the line. Those were the same thing. She was the first person in this world to see the part of me that the ranking board could not measure. I looked down at the black mark. For the first time, Arden answered an unspoken thought. A sword is judged by what it refuses to cut, he said. The words carried an old pain. Before I could ask more, every crystal in Toma's dining room turned white. Dean Marden appeared on them. Behind him stood my opponent for the blessing tournament, covered from neck to heel in blue light. The barrier around the student carried the mark of an A-rank god. Its measured resistance was 1,600 kilograms. My maximum force was 800. Marden announced that the entire city would watch our match at noon. Then, the execution seal above the academy opened a second line. 3 days remained. By sunrise, the city had turned my expected death into a business. Betting boards appeared outside every academy gate. The first odds against me were 20 to 1. By breakfast, so many common students had placed copper coins on my victory that the odds fell to 12 to 1. Toma placed 2 silver on me. Only 2? I asked. He set a pan of fried potatoes on the table. I trust you. I do not trust gambling. The potatoes had crisp brown edges and soft centers. He covered them with eggs, smoked meat, and a spoon of sour cream. Nia sat across from me with 8 small barrier diagrams spread between the plates. "I place 2 gold on you," she said. Toma looked offended. "You are too young to be foolish with money. It is research funding. If he loses, then he will be dead, and I will have larger concerns." I drank my tea. Your support is warm and comforting. Outside, 42,000 viewers registered for the noon broadcast. Vendors sold wooden copies of my broken symbol. Most broke immediately. The Academy Board replayed my war-bore victory beside an official statement from Marden. He called it an impressive but narrow success against a confused animal. Beneath the statement, he described the A-rank barrier as absolute protection. Its resistance was 1,600 kilograms. My force was 800. The message was simple. Yesterday had been luck. Today would restore the natural order. Natural order was a phrase powerful people used when they liked their current seats. Nia pointed at her diagrams. The blessing has 8 anchors. Each anchor shares impact with the other 7. If you hit one with 800 kilograms, the system spreads 100 to each point. Nothing breaks. What if I hit 2 anchors? The same distribution occurs. At the same time. She stopped moving. I drew a straight line across 2 circles on the diagram. An ordinary weapon struck 1 point first. Even a fast sword traveled through distance. One cut did not travel. Its measured force appeared across the entire chosen line in the same instant. If full force existed at every point instead of being divided between them, 2 anchors on one line would each receive 800 kilograms before the barrier could share the load. Nia took a piece of smoked meat from my plate without asking. "I need to test that. With my breakfast? Research requires sacrifice." We went to her workshop beneath the rune tower. She placed 2 clay blocks 6 meters apart and connected them with a sharing spell. A hammer struck 1 block. Both moved a little. I used 1 cut along the line between them. Both blocks split. The sharing spell activated after the damage had already occurred. Nia stared at the pieces. "The force is not traveling from your hand," she said. "The entire line becomes the strike." That was the third consequence of growth. At 1 meter, it barely mattered. At 8 meters, a single movement could touch several linked targets at the same instant. My technique was still 1 simple cut. The world had simply built many important things in straight lines. Nia marked the anchor positions on the inside of my new brace. 2 anchors would align only when the champion moved to the eastern edge of the arena. I would have 1 chance. After a full strike, the shockstone would crack. "There is another problem," she said. "The barrier may reflect force." "How much?" "The official design returns 1/4, 200 kilograms through your arm. The brace can hold that." "The official design." She showed me a faint extra line copied from the tournament seal. Someone had modified the blessing that morning. The return value was hidden. I asked who had access. Marden and the champion's guardian priest. The champion arrived at the workshop door before we could say more. He was younger than I expected. Blue light moved over his skin like water. He carried no weapon. "I came to ask you to withdraw," he said. Nia rolled the diagrams closed. "Why?" I asked. "Marden promised my family medicine if I win. My little brother needs it before winter. The treatment costs 60 gold. That was his motive. He was not fighting to prove that noble blood shone brighter. He was fighting because the Academy had placed a price on someone he loved. "Do you know the barrier was modified?" I asked. His eyes moved to the floor. "I was told it would end the match quickly." "How quickly?" He did not answer. Nia held up the extra rune line. "If the return is set above 100%, his own strike will stop his heart." The champion's blue light flickered. Marden said Jace threatened the Academy license. If the capital closes the school, hundreds lose their training. The same argument had moved from Pellsmouth to Marden's. Sacrifice 1 person to protect the institution, then call the choice necessary. I understood the fear. I rejected the arithmetic. "Fight me honestly," I said. When the barrier breaks, yield. He looked at the clay blocks. It cannot break. Then you lose nothing by agreeing. He finally nodded. At noon, the central arena held 3,000 students and 4,000 city guests. Another 46,000 watched through public crystals. The ranking board displayed my position beside the champions. I stood at 301. He stood at 9. Marden entered the official box to applause from the noble seats. He had suspended Pell, promised an investigation, and offered free tickets. Many people wanted to believe the problem had already been removed. The execution seal hung above him like a white blade. 2 days, 21 hours, and 12 minutes remained. Marden raised his hand. Today, the Academy will show that rank is not prejudice. Rank is measurement. Courage deserves praise, but courage cannot replace divine authority. The crowd listened. He believed his own words. If rank stopped being stable, noble families would stop funding temples. Temples would stop funding academies. His whole world rested on the idea that a blessing received at 17 defined a person forever. My existence was not merely embarrassing. It was expensive. The champion entered the ring. 8 blue anchor lights appeared around him. A clear dome closed over his body. The viewing crystals measured 1,600 kilograms of resistance. The noble seats chanted his position. 9, 9, 9. The common seats answered with mine. 301. It was longer and less impressive, but they shouted harder. Nia stood at the witness rail. The 2 gold coins had left her purse. She looked more worried about my wrist than her investment. The bell rang. The champion moved first. His barrier was not passive. Blue force gathered around his shoulder, and the entire dome rushed at me. It was like being attacked by a glass room. I stepped aside. The curved edge caught my hip and threw me across the arena. I landed badly. Pain climbed my ribs. The crowd gasped. The champion turned. The eastern anchors moved with him. 2 of them aligned for half a breath, but the distance was more than 8 meters. I waited. He charged again. This time I touched the barrier with a weak cut at less than 1/4 force. The blue surface flashed. The strike returned through my hand with equal strength. Not 1/4, all of it. 200 kilograms entered my wrist. The brace held, but the copper joints bent. Marden had raised the return to 100%. The crystal screens displayed the value before his officials hit it. The common seats began shouting. Nia demanded the referee stop the match. The referee looked toward Marden. Marden did not move. The contract permits a reflective blessing, he said. Not a modified value, Nia replied. The match continues until formal review. Formal review would arrive after my funeral. The champion heard him. Shame crossed his face, but Blue Force was already pushing him forward. The blessing obeyed Marden's control seal as well as its chosen student. That was the trap inside the trap. The champion was no longer steering. The dome accelerated. I ran toward the eastern side. The audience thought I was fleeing. The noble seats laughed. Marden leaned forward. The first anchor passed the chalk line Nia had marked near the wall. The second followed. For one instant, both lights aligned with my hand. The distance was 7 meters and 60 centimeters. I planted my feet. I chose a line through both anchors and nowhere near the champion's body. Then I made one ordinary swing. The brace screamed. 800 kilograms appeared at the first anchor. The same force appeared at the second in the same instant. The barrier tried to share the impact, but both points had already cracked. Blue lines raced across the dome. The A-rank blessing broke. It did not fade with dignity. It shattered into 10,000 bright pieces and dropped around the champion like blue rain. Every voice in the arena stopped. The high viewing crystal replayed the swing. No sacred weapon had appeared. No second skill had activated. My hand had moved once. An F-rank cut had broken an A-rank blessing in front of more than 50,000 people. The silence lasted 3 breaths. Then the city roared. The sound came through the public crystals and joined the arena crowd. Windows shook. Birds left the academy towers. Toma later said every spoon in his dining room jumped inside its bowl. Marden stood in the official box. His mouth was open. The champion fell to one knee. Without the barrier, he had no attack skill. He could have tried to strike me with his hands. Instead, he looked at my broken brace and lowered his head. I yield. The victory bell rang. The system voice spoke while the crowd screamed my name. My range became 16 meters. My speed became 160 meters in 1 second. My striking force became 1,600 kilograms. My class advanced from heir of the exiled sword to student of God. No new skill appeared. I still had only one cut. It was enough. The ranking board removed my old position. After a long pause, it placed my name at position 9. The defeated champion's name moved to 10. He saw it, exhaled, and offered me his hand. I pulled him up. That gesture traveled through the city faster than the replay of the broken barrier. People had expected me to mock him. I had learned what public humiliation felt like. I saved it for the person who had chosen the trap. The prize tray opened beneath Marden's box. 120 gold coins poured into a glass chest. Naya's bet paid 24 gold because the odds had closed at 12 to 1. She held the purse with both hands and looked as if it might bite her. Research funding, she said. Toma's 2 silver returned as 26. He closed the betting account immediately and bought a new oven. Marden ordered the broadcast ended. The crystals remained active because the shattered blessing had released its stored commands into the witness network. His voice filled the arena. Set the reflection to full value. The memory came from the first broken anchor. Then, a second command played. If his heart stops, record it as recoil from an unstable F-rank technique. The crowd did not boo. Not yet. They listened to Marden discuss my death in the same calm tone he used for budgets. They heard him promise the champion 60 gold for his brother's medicine. They heard him say the academy could survive one dead reserve student, but not a capital investigation. The last memory ended. Marden reached for the official exit. I stood 16 meters below him. The red emergency curtain behind his chair carried the academy crest. He had planned to close it and leave through a private door. I raised one finger. The curtain split from top to bottom. The private door behind it split across the lock. Sunlight entered the box. Every person in the arena could see Marden with nowhere to hide. Then the crowd began. The common students shouted for his removal. Rune students held up copies of the lethal modification. Noble parents demanded their donations returned. The champion's guardian priest removed Marden's academy seal in front of the viewing crystal. Cord climbed onto a bench and pointed at the ranking board. Rank is measurement, he called. Position 9 is higher than the dean's position of unemployed. The arena laughed so hard that Marden had to wait before speaking. He did not beg. He looked at me with exhausted anger. You think exposing me saves this school, he said. The capital will close it. Thousands will lose everything. You did not protect them, I replied. You used them as an excuse. The city guard escorted him from the box while every crystal continued recording. His public defeat was complete. Pell had lost his office. Marden lost the institution he had tried to preserve by killing one student. The Academy Council confirmed my prize before sunset. I paid 60 gold directly to the healer treating the champion's brother. He tried to refuse the receipt. You earned this, I said. Marden used the cost to control you. I am removing his hand. That left me with 63 gold, 31 silver, and 9 copper, plus the winnings Nia kept for her workshop. I spent 10 gold on my wrist and shoulder. The healer poured warm silver medicine over the bruised joints. It smelled like mint and hot metal. He warned me that one full strike at my new force could tear 3 tendons even with a brace. I ordered a stronger brace for 20 gold. It would not be ready until the next evening. 33 gold remained. My strength had doubled. My resources now included city healers, a custom brace, and enough money to stop counting the price of bread. My status had moved from the bottom of the academy to position 9. The reaction followed us everywhere. Children swung sticks in the street and shouted, "One cut." Merchants placed broken sword symbols over their doors. One baker sold an F-rank loaf that was already cut in half. The price was twice normal. Nia and I escaped to Toma's new oven after dark. He served a deep meat pie with a golden crust. Steam escaped when he cut it. Inside were pieces of beef, mushrooms, carrots, and thick brown sauce. The crust soaked up the sauce at the bottom and stayed crisp on top. Nia ate 2 portions and denied the second one while it was on her plate. For dessert, Toma brought small cakes filled with warm plum jam. Position 9 pays double, he reminded me. I paid triple. Nia rested her head against the wall. The blue light of the execution seal entered through the window. You could have cut the champion after the barrier broke, she said. I needed a victory, not a body. Most people in that arena did not know the difference. Arden did. The black mark warmed. The tired voice spoke. Once, heaven ordered me to forget the difference. Before I could ask what he meant, horses stopped outside. The dining room door opened. A man in a white capital uniform entered with 12 armed judges. His silver badge carried authority above the Academy Council and the city guard. Severin looked at me, then at the broken sword mark. Jace, he said. By order of the Celestial Court, your patron is declared a mass murderer. He placed an execution document on our warm dinner table. At sunrise, you and the exiled god will be erased together. Severin expected me to attack him across the dinner table. His 12 judges expected it too. Their hands rested on silver rods. One angry movement would let them call me violent, close the case, and finish the execution before the tea became cold. I picked up the document instead. What evidence do you have? I asked. Severin's eyes narrowed. The record of Oris. 60,000 people died under your patron's sword. The black mark on my palm became cold. Arden did not speak. Then hold a public trial, I said. The Celestial Court does not perform for crowds. Toma placed both hands on the table. You entered my dining room with 12 weapons and put an execution order in the gravy. The crowd is already involved. One judge looked down. The corner of the document had touched the meat pie sauce. Naya covered it with a napkin. The Academy Charter grants any chosen student a trial of evidence before divine separation, she said. If the accusation is false, the accuser loses his court authority and pays the highest bond. Severin looked at her as if she were an insect that had learned law. The highest bond is 500 gold. Then choose your words carefully. He could refuse only by admitting that he feared a public record. Marden's fall had already reached the capital. Another closed judgment would make every rumor stronger. Severin removed one glove. At sunrise, he said, the Eastern Court, every crystal in the city may watch. When the record proves your god guilty, your death will also be public. Accepted. The execution document flashed. Court chains appeared around my wrists. They did not touch skin, but they blocked the black mark. One cut became silent. Severin froze my 33 gold, 31 silver, and 9 copper as court property. He sealed my room and ordered the judges to take me beneath the Eastern Court. My resources fell to the clothes I wore and the food still in my stomach. Toma wrapped the remaining meat pie in paper before they led me away. Trials take hours, he said. Bad law should not also mean bad breakfast. The holding room had one stone bench and a narrow opening toward the execution seal. 2 days, 11 hours, and 8 minutes remained. Sunrise was only a smaller deadline. Nia was allowed one visit because she had registered as my technical witness. She arrived carrying Toma's pie, a flask of hot broth, and the new brace I had ordered. The brace was black leather, reinforced with 6 silver ribs. A dark blue shockstone covered the wrist. It could hold 1,600 kilograms once. The maker wanted the remaining 20 gold before release, she said. Your money was frozen, so I paid for my research funding. Your gambling money. That term has less dignity. She could not pass the brace through the court chains. She placed it on the bench and opened the flask instead. The broth smelled of roasted bones, onion, and pepper. Beef and barley rested at the bottom. We ate pie through the barrier while she studied the execution document. There are 3 claims, she said. First, Arden accepted the order to destroy Oris. Second, his sword caused the deaths. Third, he hid the true record. You need to disprove only one. Where is the true record? She pointed upward. The Eastern Court had been built around a heavenly archive crystal. It hung above the judge's platform, protected by 16 seals. Every divine order issued in the region passed through it. Severin will show a copy, she said. The original is locked inside the archive. The document places it exactly 16 meters from the accused circle. My current range was 16 meters. That was not a coincidence. Arden's mark warmed for the first time since Severin arrived. I sealed it there, he said inside my mind. His voice was weak under the chains. Why? I asked aloud. Nia looked up. He spoke? He sealed the record. Then the third claim is true. Arden answered after a long pause. I sealed it from heaven, not from men. The order to destroy Oris had carried a memory erasure. If Arden refused, the court would remove the city, the order, and every witness from history. He cut the archive link and hid the untouched record inside the only seal his enemies could not open without admitting it existed. His own broken symbol. Can one cut release it? I asked. When the court speaks the false order again, the two seals will connect. For how long? Less than one word. Nia understood before I finished repeating it. Your force is not the important number, she said. Your speed is. At 16 meters, one cut filled its line in 1/10 of 1 second. A spoken word took nearly twice that long. Every divine order in this world assumed no mortal action could interrupt a completed heavenly phrase. A command became real at the final sound. I did not need to wait for the final sound. The fourth consequence of growth was time. One cut had become fast enough to enter the space inside a word. Nia wrote the final syllable of the execution phrase on my brace. Move when his mouth begins this sound, she said. Not after. If you are late, the chains erase you. And if I am early, the archive connection will not exist. Your cut hits nothing, then the chains erase you. A generous range of choices. She pushed the last piece of pie through the gap beneath the barrier. Taste the mushrooms before you die. You have become very comforting. She smiled, but her eyes stayed afraid. At sunrise, the Eastern Court opened its doors. The chamber held 2,000 spectators. Another 80,000 watched from the academy, the city squares, and towns beyond the walls. The trial had become larger than the tournament. Survivors' families from Oris filled the first rows. The official history said a mad sword god had killed their ancestors. Some carried black banners demanding my execution. Severin stood beneath the archive crystal in a white coat covered with silver text. His court authority formed 16 shining chains around him. Each chain represented one seal protecting the official record. I entered the accused circle without my brace. The court chains still blocked it on the witness bench beside Nia. My ranking position appeared above me. 9. Severin's court standing appeared above him. First judge of the capital. He had spent 24 years reaching that chair. His father and grandfather had served the same court. If Arden was innocent, Severin would not lose only a title. He would learn that his family had protected a lie for 3 generations. That was why he needed me guilty. The trial crystal announced the bond. 500 gold coins waited in the court vault. If all 3 claims remained proven, the execution would proceed. If one failed, I would win the trial, and Severin's authority would break. Severin began with the copy. The archive showed a city under gray clouds. A black sword crossed the sky. Buildings vanished. The image ended with 60,000 names written in white. The image carried sound, date, signatures, and Arden's symbol. Only one detail was wrong. The people cast no shadows. Nia pointed it out. The viewing crystals enlarged the ground. Whispers filled the court. Severin replied immediately. Divine light erased ordinary shadows. It was possible. He had prepared for that flaw. He presented tax ledgers, soldiers' reports, and Arden's broken sword. Each fact was real. Together, they told the wrong story. The public messages began turning against me. People did not want a puzzle. They wanted a murderer or a hero. Severin gave them one. The exile refused to face judgment, he said. He hid for centuries, then chose an unknown student with a violent and growing power. Yesterday, that student broke an academy blessing. Today, he threatens the court. Black banners rose. Shops removed my name, and the betting board placed my survival at 1 in 50. Severin approached the final claim. The true record was hidden by the accused patron. Where? I asked. No one knows. Then how do you know he hid it? Severin paused. The crowd noticed. Because the celestial court ordered him to return it, he said. Read the order. Nia looked at me. This was the point. Severin could refuse and weaken his own claim. Or he could speak the command that opened the hidden connection. He raised his silver badge. The 16 chains around him tightened. The chains around my wrists pulled me to my knees. By the authority above earth, he began. The sword of Arden will return the memory taken from the court and accept erasure at the final judgment. The last word approached. Final judgment. The phrase carried two sounds at the end. As Severin's mouth formed the first one, a black line appeared between the mark on my palm and the archive crystal. 16 meters. The connection would live for less than 1/5 of 1 second. The court chains released my brace so I could receive the execution through my hand. Nia threw it. I caught it, closed the silver ribs, and moved before Severin completed the word. One cut filled 16 meters in 1/10 of 1 second. It struck every linked seal between my palm and the archive. The first court chain snapped, then the second. Then all 16 broke in the same instant. The final sound left Severin's mouth too late. The archive crystal turned black. The original record opened above the court. This time, the people of Oris had shadows. The memory showed the city alive. Children ran through a market. Bakers carried bread from ovens. Soldiers stood at gates, but no enemy army waited beyond them. A heavenly voice issued an order. Oris had refused to give the court 300 children with rare divine marks. The court called the refusal rebellion. It ordered Arden to remove the city before other cities copied it. Arden appeared above the walls with an unbroken black sword. He asked one question. How many enemies are inside? The heavenly voice answered. Everyone who refuses is an enemy. Arden lowered his blade. Then heaven has forgotten the word. The execution seal descended toward Oris. Arden did not cut the city. He turned and cut the seal. The black strike crossed the sky. The heavenly weapon shattered. Its released light burned the empty land around the walls and erased Oris from every map. But the people survived beneath Arden's barrier. He opened a path through the mountains and led all 60,000 residents away. The white names in Severin's copy belonged to those who escaped, not the dead. The last image showed court scribes creating the false record. Severin's grandfather stood among them. The Eastern court became silent. The first sound came from an old woman beneath a black banner. She began to cry. Her grandmother's name appeared in the list of survivors. Then people across the first rows found their family names. Black banners lowered one by one. A man who had demanded my death pressed both hands to his face. In the city squares, thousands knelt. Temples replayed the original. Judges in 3 towns removed their badges. The truth arrived in 80,000 homes at once. Severin looked up at his grandfather in the memory. For a moment, he was only a man watching his life crack. Then, training returned. The record is corrupted, he shouted. Destroy the archive. His remaining court authority gathered into a silver blade. He struck at the crystal above him. That action changed the trial. He was no longer presenting evidence, he was attacking it. The witness crystal declared a formal conflict between accuser and accused. The winner would control the record. Severin's silver blade carried 2,000 kilograms of force. My current force was 1,600. I could not stop it head-on. I did not need to. The blade depended on 4 court seals placed along Severin's sleeves and badge. All 4 rested on one diagonal line when he raised his arm. I cut that line. The new brace absorbed the recoil. Its blue stone cracked. 4 silver seals split at the same instant. Severin's blade vanished 1 finger from the archive. My cut continued only to his badge. It divided the word judge without touching his chest. Half the badge fell onto the floor. The court crystal rang. Severin had lost the trial of evidence in front of the capital, the city, and the families he had tried to deceive. The system voice spoke. My range became 32 meters. My speed became 320 meters in 1 second. My striking force became 3,200 kilograms. My class advanced to Sealbreaker. I received no second technique. 1 cut remained my only power. The ranking board moved my name from position 9 to position 3. The city council added a title beneath it, Protector of Oris. The 500 gold bond and my frozen 33 gold, 31 silver, and 9 copper transferred to me. Severin stood under the true memory while the court removed his coat and authority seals. People did not throw stones. They did something he feared more. They made him watch the original record again. Every false sentence from his speech appeared beside the truth. Every public square replayed the moment his grandfather forged the names. By noon, children were selling paper court badges already cut in half. Severin looked at me as the city guard approached. If people stop fearing heaven, every sealed enemy will rise, he said. Then heaven should have given them fewer reasons. His face did not twist with rage. It became tired. You have opened a door you cannot close. He was right about that. He was wrong to think the door should remain closed. The crowd carried us to the central square. The families of Oris tied a black ribbon around my brace, and the old woman thanked Arden by name. Inside me, the exiled god said nothing. The mark became warm. That was enough. Toma moved his tables into the street. He served enormous pots of lamb stew. The meat had cooked until it fell from the bone. The sauce was red with tomato and sweet pepper. Soft beans, onions, and pieces of potato filled every bowl. Fresh bread came from his new oven with flour still white on the crust. He fed the Oris families without charge. I paid him 40 gold for the food, the broken chairs, and every meal he planned to serve them for the next month. Nia bought back the court document for 1 gold. She cleaned the gravy from it and placed it in her case. Evidence? I asked. A reminder not to put legal documents beside pie. My remaining money was 492 gold, 31 silver, and 9 copper. The custom brace was ruined, but the city's best rune makers offered to build another. My position was 3. My patron's name had changed from murderer to protector on every public board. All 3 scales had risen. For 1 afternoon, it felt as if we had won. Then the white execution seal above the city moved. Its countdown vanished. The sky opened from horizon to horizon. A figure in white armor descended through the gap. 6 wings of straight light spread behind him. His spear touched the academy barrier and passed through it as if the defense were smoke. The true record named him before the public crystals did. Aster. He had issued the order against Oris. He looked down at the crowded tables, the survivors' families, and the broken court badges. The first execution failed because 1 sword disobeyed, he said. Every person in the city heard him. Above his hand, the seal expanded until it covered every street. This time, I will erase the sword, the witness, and the city together. Aster gave us 6 hours. It was not mercy. The oldest law of divine challenge required an executor to allow 1 defense after a court record was overturned. He wanted every public crystal active when I failed. At sunset, stand in the central arena, he said. Kneel, surrender the exile, and the citizens may leave with their memories removed. Resist, and the seal will fall. The white figure rose into the opening above the academy. 6 wings remained visible across the clouds. People ran for children and the gates. Carts blocked the western street, and the price of a horse rose from 8 gold to 50. The families of Oris stayed. Their old spokeswoman climbed onto a chair. We ran once, she said. We are not leaving the man who proved why. Her words spread through the crystals. Students organized the streets, and Cord used his red lion to clear an overturned wagon. No charge, he announced. Today, the barrel is useful. The crowd laughed. Then they pushed together. I counted what we had. My range was 32 meters. My speed was 320 meters in 1 second. My force was 3,200 kilograms. My money was 492 gold, 31 silver, and 9 copper. My status was position 3 and protector of Horus. Aster's spear produced 10,000 kilograms. Each of his 6 wings carried a protection seal. Together, they made his body impossible to cut, while the execution order remained active. I had 6 hours to turn impossible into expensive. Evacuate everyone within 100 meters of the arena, I told the council. Move children and healers south. I need 100 gold for carts, food, and barrier cloth. I placed the money on the table. Use mine first. My money fell to 392 gold. My public payment shamed merchants into lowering their prices. Supplies began moving. Nia pulled me toward the rune tower. You cannot use the repaired brace, she said. It survived 1,600 once. Your new force is double that. The best rune makers waited among silver joints, dragon leather, and shock stones. A safe brace cost 900 gold and needed 10 days. A one-use design cost 300 and needed 5 hours. The cheap plan showed a hand beside a question mark. The drawing is honest, I said. Nia chose the middle design. It will hold 1 strike at 3,200 kilograms. After that, nothing. Build it. I paid 300 gold. 92 gold, 31 silver, and 9 copper remained. The rune makers began while Nia studied Aster's 6 wings. Their roots shared damage, but several simultaneous breaks could defeat the protection as they had defeated the A-rank barrier. Aster knew what I had done in the tournament. He would never place 2 wing roots on the same line. Then we moved the line, I said. Nia looked at me. 1 cut is straight. The arena floor is not required to remain flat. The platform rested on 8 supports. If I removed the eastern pair, the floor would tilt and force Aster's wings toward his spine for less than 1 second. I would need him diving at the exact moment. I would also need to stand under 10,000 kilograms of spear force while I waited. Cord entered the workshop carrying a crate of healing bottles. The noble dormitory donated these, he said. Voluntarily? Nia asked. After I placed a viewing crystal outside their door. He set down 20 bottles worth 1 gold each. Severin arrived under guard with half his badge tied to his belt. Aster's execution continues after he loses consciousness, he said. The spear in his hand is only a key. The true weapon is the white seal above the arena. Why tell us? Cord asked. Severin looked toward the city streets. Because my family's lie is inside that seal. If he erases the witnesses, truth loses again. His old court map placed the execution course 60 meters above the arena. My current range was 32, but victory would double it. If the system accepted Aster's defeat first, I would gain 64 meters, 640 meters in 1 second, and 6,400 kilograms. The core would enter my range by 4 meters. There was one problem. The new brace could survive my current strength only once. A doubled strike would break the brace, my wrist, and perhaps my entire arm. I added the cost to the plan. What if the system waits until the seal finishes? Nia asked. Then the city disappears. That is not a plan. It is the condition for success. She became angry. Not loud. Her hands simply stopped shaking. You always say you count every risk. Count yourself too. I did. You placed yourself below the city. There are 80,000 people in the city. There is one of you. That is the number I used. She stared at me for a long moment. Then she tied the black ribbon from Horus around the unfinished brace. Come back with at least half an arm, she said. Which half? The half that pays workshop bills. Before the final joint closed, Toma brought soft buns filled with beef, onion, and pepper sauce, plus chicken soup with noodles and herbs. We ate among the tools. Cord burned his mouth and pretended he had not. Toma pushed a bowl toward Severin. Prisoners eat too, Toma said. Severin tasted the soup. His eyes closed for half a second. The final hours smelled of leather glue, hot metal, bread, and broth. That made them worth protecting, When the brace was finished, it covered my right arm from knuckles to elbow. 6 black shock stones ran along the silver frame. The total resistance was 3,200 kilograms for one full cut. After that, it would become scrap. I walked to the arena. The streets were empty within 100 meters. Every distant roof held viewers, and more than 200,000 watched through crystals. My name remained at position 3. Naya waited at the controls. Cord guarded the tunnel. Toma stood with the healers, holding a soup ladle like a weapon. Severin sat under guard before the main crystal. At sunset, the sky turned white. Aster descended into the arena. 6 straight wings spread behind him. The spear in his hand was twice his height. The public crystal measured his authority. Executor of S rank. My patron's old label appeared beneath mine. Unknown swordsman of F rank. Aster looked at the board. The exile always preferred weak witnesses. Arden answered through my mouth for the first time. Weak people were the only ones you allowed me to kill. The city heard him. Aster remained calm. Oris was one city. Its refusal would have started rebellion in 30 regions. War would have killed millions. You never proved that, I said. Order does not wait for proof. That was his motive. Aster did not enjoy destruction. He feared uncertainty more than death, especially when the death belonged to someone else. He raised the spear. Kneel. Give me the broken symbol. I will restore your position, grant you 100,000 gold, and make you the next executor. The offer filled every crystal. 100,000 gold could buy half the city. The crowd waited. I looked at the families of Oris behind the barrier. I looked at Nia with both hands on the support controls. I looked at Toma's ridiculous ladle. No, I said. The single word crossed 200,000 crystals. The academy chanted, "One cut," and the streets joined as Aster attacked. His spear crossed 30 meters before I could blink. I moved by watching his shoulder. White force missed my chest and opened a trench through the platform. Stone struck the audience barrier, which held. Aster turned the spear. A wave of pressure lifted me and threw me toward the wall. I cut the ground before landing. The force opened a narrow trench. My boots entered it, and I stopped before the barrier. The brace absorbed less than 1/4 force. One shock stone dimmed. Aster noticed. Your tool is dying before you. It was expensive. It can die first. He attacked from above. The 6 wings never aligned. Each changed angle before another reached the same line. Aster had studied every public fight. Weak cuts made him adjust, while each recoil darkened another shock stone. After the 5th exchange, blood ran beneath the leather. Viewers shouted wing distances, turning the academy into one enormous measuring team. Aster drove the spear down. I rolled aside. The point struck the eastern half of the platform. That was where I needed him. Nia saw it. She raised one hand at the control rail. I cut along the floor, not at Aster. One cut crossed 31 meters beneath the platform. It severed the 2 eastern supports. The arena tilted. Stone dropped by 1 meter. Aster's spear remained fixed in the floor. His body moved with the sudden angle. All 6 wings folded inward to hold him upright. For less than 1 second, their roots formed one vertical line behind his spine. Nia dropped her hand. Now. I used the brace's full capacity. 3,200 kilograms filled the vertical line. The first wing root cracked. The second broke. All 6 protection seals failed before they could share the damage. White wings exploded. The shockwave knocked people down, spun the viewing crystals, and darkened the ranking board. Aster fell from the tilted platform. For the first time, his boots touched ground without divine light beneath them. The public crystal measured him again. Executor authority removed. Estimated remaining rank, F. Cord laughed first. Then the academy and city joined as the S-rank executor received the F label he had used to shame Arden. Aster's calm face finally broke. He pulled the spear from the floor and charged on foot. My brace was dead. All 6 stones were black. My right hand could barely close. I stepped inside his spear point. He expected me to retreat from the stronger weapon. Every person who had fought him had done that. I moved forward. The shaft passed under my arm. I placed 2 fingers against the white authority mark on his chest. I did not need full force. One shortcut split the mark. Aster's spear became ordinary metal. Its point hit the stone with a dull sound. The heavenly executor stood unarmed in front of the boy he had called weak. I stopped my line at his armor. "Yield," I said. He saw the crystals and the people waiting. He could die for certainty or live without control. His spear left his hand. I yield. The victory bell rang across earth and heaven. The system voice spoke. My range became 64 meters. My speed became 640 meters in 1 second. My striking force became 6,400 kilograms. The arena celebrated for one breath. Then Aster smiled. Too late. The execution corps descended from the opening above us. It stopped 60 meters over the arena. White fire covered the sky. The city barrier vanished. Streets, towers, and 80,000 lives appeared beneath the falling seal. Severin shouted that the strike would land in less than 1 second. The system had declared victory before Aster's lingering order resolved. That was the final consequence. My numbers had already doubled. 60 meters was inside my new range. 1 second was longer than the time my cut needed. The only problem was my arm. Nia saw the numbers on the measurement crystal. "The brace cannot hold it," she shouted. "I know." I raised my right hand. The ruined silver frame cut into my skin. The black ribbon of Oris tightened around my wrist. I chose a line from my palm to the center of the execution corps. No building stood behind it. No person crossed it. The line contained only sky, the order, and the choice Aster had made. I used one cut. 6,400 kilograms entered the dead brace. Every silver rib broke. My wrist fractured. My elbow left its joint. Pain turned the arena white. The cut crossed 60 meters at 640 meters in 1 second. The execution corps split. For one terrible moment, the white halves kept falling. Then Arden's broken symbol appeared between them. He did not give me more power. He did not make a second strike. He simply held the pieces apart with the sword that had refused the order centuries ago. The seal shattered into warm, harmless light. No street vanished. No memory disappeared. My arm hung useless at my side. I remained standing long enough to hear the reaction. After one silent breath, 80,000 citizens and 200,000 distant viewers shouted together. The ranking board lit again. My name moved from position 3 to position 1. The Academy restored Arden's record. His rank changed from F to Unbound, and temples displayed his name again. The Heavenly Challenge bond opened. 10,000 gold coins transferred to my account. The amount appeared on every crystal. Toma looked at the number and shouted that position one would pay 5 times the dinner price. I tried to answer. The floor rose and hit me. I woke 2 days later in a large room with a window facing the sky. Nia slept beside me. Silver threads inside a healing frame held my right arm together. The 400 gold treatment had saved it. Toma had left chicken soup with noodles, carrots, herbs, and small pieces of meat, plus warm bread with butter and honey. The smell woke Nia. She looked at me, then at my fingers. "Move them." I moved all 5. She breathed out. "That is at least half an arm. Will it pay workshop bills? For the next month, you are not touching a sword." "I do not own one." She pointed at the black mark. That sentence has become less convincing. Outside, Pell awaited trial, Martin confessed, and Severin began restoring erased records. Aster had to hear every name from Oris once a year, a list requiring 4 days. Cord reached position 172 and charged 2 copper coins to tell how he first survived one cut. Nia accepted 12 of 300 brace orders. Her research fund grew from 24 gold to 600. Toma expanded next door, baked 200 loaves each morning, and turned my high prices into meals for reserve students. My own account held 9,692 gold, 31 silver, and 9 copper after treatment. The city granted me the central arena as a training hall. My name stood at position 1 on every academy board. My strength, resources, and status had all reached numbers that the boy at the first ceremony could not have imagined. I still possessed one skill. One cut had a range of 64 meters, a speed of 640 meters in 1 second, and a force of 6,400 kilograms. The next victory would double all three. I was in no hurry to test it. That evening, we returned to Toma's dining room. He served roasted beef with a dark pepper crust. The inside was pink and soft. Potatoes cooked beneath it had absorbed the juice. There were green beans with butter, thick gravy, and bread still crackling from the oven. Cord tried to make a speech. Toma stopped him by placing an entire potato in his mouth. The families of Oris raised cups to Arden. The exiled god appeared only as a faint black sword above the warm table. "What will you do now?" Nia asked me. "Eat with my left hand." After that, I looked through the window at the clear sky. Find out why Arden's symbol existed on Earth. The room became cold. Every spoon on the table rose into the air. A red circle opened above my soup. The $29 sword that had killed me dropped through it and landed point first in Toma's best table. The red discount sticker was still attached. No one laughed. The system voice spoke one final sentence. "Your death on Earth was not an accident."